Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The long range meta here in Warzone post season 3 reloaded is looking very competitive across the board, and today I wanted to break down the best weapons and of course the best loadouts you want to be running for the long range meta in specific. So of course we got to start with some sniper rifle talk. Obviously for the longest ranges in the game you're going to be using snipers, and there's two in particular that are phenomenal for any kind of range, but particularly fighting at 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus meters and being able to get those one-shot headshots. The KATT of course being one of them, and all we're focused on here really is upping our velocity to a decent number. Right now we're looking at just over 1,000 with all these attachments on here. So I got the Nightfall suppressor first and foremost. Keep in mind range control, none of that really matters all that much for a sniper. In this case we just care about that velo and that one-shot headshot. I also go for the Zang 34 barrel. This will help extend that velocity as well, and so will high velocity too. This will give us a 20% boost to get us up over that 1,000 mark, which is super convenient. I also go for the tactical pad stock just to get a slightly faster ADS speed. Having all these heavier options on here definitely slows it down a little bit. Then just behind the face cam, in case you're interested in a screenshot, I do use the quick bolt just so I can get my shots off faster back to back and get those cleanups, get those secondary shots to knock them if I don't get that one-shot headshot. That's definitely a nice little safety net, if you will, to have on there. So KATT still an absolute meta sniper for sure. But then alongside that, the MORZ is also a fantastic option, and personally it's my favorite right now for sniping, just because you can build it to be a little bit more aggressive. It's also a little bit more new, so it just feels fresh, which is always nice, and it's a little bit nostalgic as well, obviously from Advanced Warfare. Here all you have to worry about for the most part is running the anti-material slug rounds. These will give you the ability to one-shot headshot at any range. Beyond that, I've also got the ton heavy barrel. This ups the velocity. The velo here is not as good as it is on the KATT. Obviously it's still sufficient, but keep in mind it's a little bit less. I do go for the Razor Hawk laser sight as well, just to increase my ADS speed. Same deal with the Super Light 90 stock, getting a lot of mobility benefits out of that. And then once more, just behind the face cam, I've got the quick bolt on there too. So this is a little bit more aggressive than the KATT. It also has slightly worse velocity, but really each of these options is phenomenal for long range sniping. Now the BP50 is phenomenal for long range. Technically it's got the best in class TTK over the long range as well for the assault rifles. It's personally like my favorite gun in the game right now. It's been frying for a minute here in post season 3 reloaded. It's still feeling phenomenal. So this setup in particular is super aggressive, but also super low recoil, so you can play it 30, 40, 50 meters, but also 60, 70, 80 meters just as efficiently. We got the Casa spray gun here, attacking that horizontal recoil, making the pattern a lot more predictable. Lower 9 heavy barrel doing the same thing for control, but also extending out that range and giving us some better velocity. DR6 hand stop just to keep things agile and aggressive in case I do find myself in some of those closer fights. Keeps things speedy and fun there. Definitely very versatile. 45 round extended mag, very basic there. Then also the Moat 40 stock gives you better control, but also some better mobility at the same time. So that's the best of both worlds. Love that as a singular attachment on here. Definitely like my favorite aggressive rifle build in the game at the moment. After that, we've got the SVA 545. I would call this one old reliable. This thing is just always consistent. It's been right there pretty much since day one of Warzone 3, right? It's easy to use. It's not the heaviest hitting rifle, but it gets the job done. This particular build is meant to be used in hyper burst mode, where there is essentially no recoil, despite the fact that it's invisible for whatever reason, because this game's menu constantly breaks. But we got the Spirit Fire suppressor on here, better range, velocity, and control. I also go for the precision long barrel on here, better idle sway, better range, velocity, and control as well. Because there's no recoil in hyper burst mode, I actually drop an under barrel and I go for high grain rounds just to get even better velocity and even better range, so that extended TTK range is even better there. 60 round extended mag, very basic. Then for mid to long range fights, I love the Choreo 2.5 times eagle eye optic here. Nice and clean, very visible out to really any range there. You're not going to have any problems with not being able to see enemies using this thing. So pretty consistent mid to long range setup here, and I love the fact that hyper burst is just so easy to use. Quick reminder as we are going through all the loadouts here today, if you are new to the channel or maybe you simply have not subscribed yet, let's change that, because every single day this is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about Call of Duty. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. Much love as always to everyone who takes the time to do so. Next up here we got the DG58 LSW. This thing for long range is a beast this season. It absolutely fries. Super low recoil. It is one of, if not the single best long-range gun in the game, at least in my opinion here, and the stats can back that up. We do have Spirit Fire Suppressor, better range, velocity, and control yet again. The Woody long barrel is better idle sway, better range, better velocity, better control, better pizza, Papa John's. You had to throw the plug in there. We got the Bruin heavy support, making the recoil pattern even more predictable. You don't need an extended mag here because we already have 60, so that works nicely. We got the 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic, and then you can kind of mess around. I've gone with setups that have the CQC butt plate so that the mobility is a little bit better. You get a good strafe, a decent ADS for an LMG. But if you really want to go all in on the mid to long range, you could also jump into your ammo here and throw on some high grain rounds, get that better velocity and get that better range on there for minimal control decreases. I mean, the weapon is so easy to use, that's not going to be a huge deal whatsoever, and this setup works really good too. So it's just a matter of preference, more range, more velocity versus better mobility. Either way, you can't go wrong. This thing is great. Next up, we've got the Holger 26, another phenomenal LMG choice. This and the DG58 have nearly identical TTKs over range. This is also incredibly easy to use, so it's fitting that criteria as well. We got the Spirit Fire Suppressor here yet again, and same deal with Bruin heavy support. I also go for the factory barrel in this case. This will help out with range, velocity, and control. Unfortunately, no like added firing aim stability or aiming idle sway like usually what we get on some of these barrels. It is what it is though. Again, you don't need an extended mag, 60 works fine, so I go for the 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic, and then I go all in on the control with the Ascent Lord stock. This does make up for that lack of firing aim stability and idle sway on the barrel. It adds in that, but also even more control for very minimal movement cons here. It's an LMG, so losing out a little bit of strafe speed or a little bit of crouch movement speed is not going to be a deal breaker by any means. So this thing turns into an absolute laser beam, and it is great for long range engagements. Hey everyone, wanted to take a quick second to shout out my friends over at G Fuel. If you were looking to drop into some games energized and focused, look no further than G Fuel. They got you covered for pretty much everything, honestly. They got the hydration formula tubs, the standard energy tubs, they've got the cans, and best of all, if you want to get anything at all from the G Fuel site, you can throw in code IMMORTAL and get a nice little discount at checkout. And who knows, maybe the more the code gets used, the better chance of our Shaker Cup maybe one day returning. But yeah, if you want to check anything out, the link will be down in the description below. Jumping back to the rifles, the MTZ-556, I feel like it's kind of slept on, but it's actually got really consistent stats through the mid-range and the long range here. It's also surprisingly easy to use for having such a fast fire rate. Usually, that's not the case with these kind of weapons over long range, but this one's pretty straightforward, all things considered. Initially, I got Spirit Fire Suppressor up in that range, velo, and control. I do like to have this on as opposed to like Cassis Break in this case, just because the velocity isn't phenomenal here. So if we can up that, that's definitely solid and worth doing in my opinion. Bruin heavy support for the better control. I also go for the Drifter heavy long barrel, idle sway, better control, range, and velocity. Some pretty significant increases in here too. I also go for the 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic, then your basic 50 round extended mag on there as well. Definitely not a weapon that's seen as much time in the spotlight as maybe the BP50 or the SVA, but it's definitely pretty solid. As is the RAPP LMG. Yes, an MW2 weapon on here. Technically speaking, the RAPP's got the best TTK in the LMG category over longer ranges. It's just not as versatile as some of those other LMG options that we've talked about. This thing is slow and this thing is heavy and its reload is abysmal, but if you just got your sights up and you're spraying and praying, the damage is going to be great. So we'll just focus on that, right? Here I got the Cassis Break on here, makes that recoil a lot more predictable. Bruin heavy support per usual. High grain rounds on here extends that velo almost up to 1,000, plus we get some decent range out of that as well. The 100 round mag, this just allows me to reload less, and if I can do that, that's a good way to go about things in my opinion. 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic to round things out there. Surprising to see an MW2 weapon be this good in terms of TTK and damage output, but it's also very refreshing at the same time. And then lastly, here we've got the MCW 6.8, the lone marksman rifle in this video, but this thing works really good as a long range marksman. It's got a really good TTK if you can consistently land shots, and you can kind of spam this thing and it's relatively consistent as well, which is nice to see. So Spirit Fire Suppressor. Bruin heavy support is also especially important here as a semi-auto gun with that firing aim stability and the idle sway benefits, just keeping the recentering better and it more reliable as you are spamming it. So that's definitely a clutch one there. 60 round extended mag, which you really don't see anywhere for other marksmen, so that's really nice to have. 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic, and then I honestly really like the assault stock on here, keeping the recoil really good when I am spamming it. You could also drop that and throw on you know, any ammo here that's going to extend the range, and there's several options here. Like for instance, high velocity would be decent for just straight up velocity if you're looking for that. However, for whatever reason, the Spire Point rounds also give you ridiculous velocity and a little bit of range too, so that would be a good choice as well if you wanted to swap that out for the stock. Totally up to you though. Either way, the MCW is still going to be feeling phenomenal. And that being said, that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It's always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. Well, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.